the Dog Witch podcast, where we help you create happy, healthy, and relaxed dogs.
Hello there, and welcome to the latest edition of the Dog Witch podcast with me, Lisa McCabe, your host. Today, I have a very special guest with us. We have Kay Dewar from Kando Support. Hi, Kay, welcome aboard.
Hi, thank you for having me, Lisa.
You're so welcome. So, Kay, could we just start off with just you kind of giving us a wee quick introduction to you and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I support business owners to bring more ease and efficiency into how they work. And that started off with the practical operational systems structures to make sure they were focusing their time and efforts where it really mattered to the business and to them. But what I found more and more was there was actually something deeper keeping people stuck and keeping them in chaos. So I also certified as a master intuitive psychology coach so that I could really work with that holistic approach in terms of supporting the person as well as the business. So we now work through any past patterns or habits or situations that are showing up for them that are keeping them in that chaos and prevent them from actually utilizing the systems and the tools that are there to make life more ease-filled for them.
That sounds fabulous. Like what kind of sprang to mind, obviously, when you're talking about the holistic approach, it's so important, isn't it? Because as soon as one of those areas is out of alignment, that's when, and like, I do the same with dogs. I talk about the six pillars of dogs' health and well-being because when one area is out of alignment, everything else can just crumble round about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can have the best systems and structures, but if something's going on within you, then they're never going to work. And likewise, you can be doing all the mindset work, but if you then don't have the support in place to match that, then again, it's never going to work. You've got to have that whole person approach and make sure that you are tying everything together.
So, how long have you been doing this for, Kay? When did it all start?
So the business started just over 8 years ago. It was actually 8 years last month, and it's now been 12 months since I've added in the additional psychology element.
Wow. And how do you find that's going? Like, how has it changed?
Um, I think the change is very much needed. As we say, like it is the same as with dogs. We need that holistic approach. We need to make sure that we're looking at every possible aspect of what can be keeping someone stuck or what can be keeping them in a pattern that they don't want to be in. So it's very much opening people's eyes to what actually is going on and what is actually showing up for them. And with that awareness, they can then approach things differently. They can then have a new level of acceptance for how they work, how they approach things, and it just ripples through everything. It's then not just about the person, it's not just about the business. It impacts their relationships, it impacts how they parent, it impacts all throughout every aspect of their life. So it is a massive shift in terms of what it then means for people.
Yeah, totally. And I suppose if you're good within yourself, then everything else just kind of flows. As you say, you can be a better parent, you can be a better person, a better husband, wife, you can be a better business person altogether.
Yeah, definitely. I think that ripple effect is really quite impactful.
And how did you get into this? Was this something that you always wanted to do, or did it just happen by chance?
It did really just happen by chance. I've always been curious and into how things work, how things are pieced together, and didn't really know what that meant as a career. You know what it's like. You get to the end of school and you've got to sort of go and do something. So I went and did maths and operations, which sort of fitted into that. How do things work and how do things
Mhm.
piece together? But the psychology element was always there. I did study some of that in a university along with my degree, and that like humans are just the same. They are systems essentially, as we are made up of lots
Totally.
of different parts that work together, and we need to understand how they work to then make sure we can get the best out of it. So that curiosity
Yeah.
around the human behavior and how us humans actually work's always been there. I've done various different pieces of training over the years around that as well, and then obviously took that up a notch last year with the coach training.
Yeah, I mean that's really interesting because that's in a similar way, that's kind of how I got into what I do with dogs. It was never really that I set out to work in dogs with this kind of way, I suppose. I adopted a dog who was completely off his head, and I needed to understand how he worked so that I could help him live a better life. And
Yeah.
from there, it just kind of snowballed. I started, as you say, just adding in all those systems and processes and just like different bits and understanding the elements like how nutrition works. And I suppose that'll be for like for you as well. If people are just eating a whole load of nonsense, then they're going to feel sluggish and they are going to feel a bit rotten. So I suppose you have to kind of look at the whole kind of person, like the whole kind of holistic concept.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a big thing with the intuitive psychology coaching. It is that whole person. It's not just about mindset. It's not just about saying the right things. It's looking at the body and mind connection. It's looking at somatic work. And absolutely, like those foundational habits are a huge part of that. So, are you getting outside enough? Are you walking enough? Are you putting the right nutrition into your body? It all plays a part. It all is so important. And as the saying goes, like the body keeps the score. If you're not doing those things, if you have situations that have happened to you that you've not dealt with, then the body eventually tells you, and it creates issues so that you start to pay attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You can go for as long. I mean, obviously, I've had some sessions with you which were magical. I don't know how you do what you do, but it's just amazing. But I had come to you saying, well, I think it's this. And then when we actually worked through it, it wasn't. It was basically that I hadn't, since 2019, I've lost like so many members of my family, and I lost my two old boys, my two anchors, and I
Yeah.
hadn't dealt with that grief. I had just literally just soldiered on, hadn't dealt with the grief, and then that's what it was. My body and my mind was saying to me, listen, you need to take stock, you need to deal with this.
Mm.
And then as we kind of worked through it throughout the sessions that I had with you, I was able to kind of deal with that. And I mean, I still of course do have days where I miss them and I cry about them, but it's not like this overwhelming feeling holding me back anymore. And I think that's what you do. You just unlock this piece of magic that just allows people to be free. Is that kind of fair assessment?
Yeah, I think it's important what you said there. You do still have those days. Like, it's not about eradicating your feelings or diminishing anything that's happened to you. It's about allowing you to have that acceptance around it and work with the emotion rather than constantly trying to push it down and ignore it, because that's when you get the bigger problems.
Yeah, totally. It's just, I suppose it's like the same when you have like a dog. Like if I had just totally ignored Zane's issues and just thought, oh, he'll be fine, he'll just settle in, it would have been probably an absolute nightmare. We would, I mean, not that we would ever have returned him back to the shelter, but we would have worked with him and worked with him. But yeah, like that, you have to kind of understand what's going on, deal with the issue, and then I suppose it prepares you in the future as well for if something else comes along, you just kind of go back to, right, how do I deal with this? How do I move forward?
Yeah, absolutely. It's helping you to learn how can you move forward? How can you make sure this doesn't keep you stuck and or doesn't, like in the dog's case, doesn't have them living a life that's not as fulfilling for them. It's about really having that understanding so that you can work with it and create a life that is a lot more enjoyable and fulfilling.
So, Kate, just kind of we've talked about like what you do, but not how you do it. So, kind of talk the listeners through what working with you looks like.
So, it can be a bit mixed, obviously, with the practical systems element and the coaching. There, different people come for different requirements now. If it's the coaching, then it is a lot about tapping into your unconscious. A lot of what we do, around 95%, is done unconsciously based on the habits, the patterns, the information that's stored within our unconscious is actually driving our decisions and our behaviors without us obviously realizing it. So it's about different techniques being utilized based on what that person needs to allow them to have that awareness, bring that understanding to that, bring that into the place where they can then work with it and give them the tools to move forward. As you've said, it's knowing how to navigate that and knowing how you can work with it, bringing the awareness to it and allowing you to know how to do that to move forward. A lot of what I then do is supply the practical tools because with that new awareness, they want to make life easier, they want to work in a different way, or they want things to flow better. So it's then saying, okay, here's the tools and the systems and the structures that are going to support you to do that and blending the two together.
It's just wonderful. Like for me, it's just magic. It was like instantly I kind of felt better. It was just like, how did she do that? It was just amazing. But obviously, as you're chatting, like your passion for what you do kind of really shines through. What parts of your work do you love the most? Like, what lights your fire?
I think it is that change in people, just allowing them to be able to not be stuck anymore. Obviously, life happens, life is difficult. We're surrounded by a lot of doom and gloom everywhere we go these days, the news, social media. There's so much that could allow us to end up in a pretty dark place. And like as cliche as it is, we never know when our time's up. So we can't go through life wasting that time and spending the time being in that doom and gloom place, being surrounded by all that negativity. So when I'm able to change people's awareness and perceptions and how they approach things and allow them to have a life that isn't bogged down by those things, then it is a really satisfying place to be because it just changes so much for them.
Yeah, and I suppose it must be wonderful just kind of looking back, seeing, from a client from where they started to where you've got them to, and you must just kind of look back with a sense of pride and go, I did that.
Yeah, it is. It's a really nice feeling when you see the output at the other side.
And I suppose I have to ask, is there parts of your business that you don't like? Is there anything, that you're kind of like, oh my God, I've got to do that and I don't really like doing it?
Um, I would say there's nothing I hate. I've kind of got that acceptance. I do some of the work on myself, so I've got that acceptance that in order to be on this journey, we need to do it. What would I say? I would say possibly like the marketing, the actual being visible and
Yeah,
putting yourself out there, that can become a full-time job in itself. And that's annoying.
100%.
There's so many people out there, so many misleading messages, mixed messages, and you sometimes feel like I'm just adding to this and I really don't want to do that. But if we want to be here and have a business, we've got to do it. So
But that's it. It's just, I suppose, like being kind of a small business owner, you have to wear all the hats and you have to do everything. And I kind of find that as well. There's so much in the dog world. There's so many misleading things because, especially in Glasgow, a lot of dog stuff is unregulated.
yeah,
So you can find there's a lot of misinformation, and sometimes kind of putting yourself out there can be a bit scary.
yeah, definitely.
And how can people kind of get in touch with you? Like how can they work with you? Is there anything happening that you'd like to shout out about just now?
There is nothing major, no major launches or anything going on just now. I am here and available to talk to anyone that wants to talk. If they are feeling that any of this resonates with them, then I am available. They can reach out. I've got a free 5-day audio series that people can download and listen to. It's super quick, super simple. That's my motto for most things. Just not overload you with more than what you need. So it's five short, less than 5 minute audios just to really focus you in, cut out the noise, make you aware of what you actually want to do and help you to move forward. So that's available for anyone that wants a little support to get moving.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kate. And obviously, in the show notes, I will add all of your details where people can get in touch with you. But what are your main platforms? Like, where are you? Where can people find you?
My main platforms are Facebook, where I am under Kando Support with a K, or LinkedIn, where it is just my name, Kay Dewar, and also the website kandosupport.com.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And as I say, I will put all the links to all of that in the show notes. But it has been absolute pleasure to chat to you today, Kay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
See you soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the latest edition of the Dog Witch podcast. Don't forget to tune in to our next episode soon.